Hey darling, I hope you're having a great day crocheting today. Today we're going to learn the elusive magic circle. The question is to magic circle or to not. You don't need to do the magic circle if it's too complicated. There is another way to crochet a circle, and I'm going to show you both ways. This is one where the magic circle is tight, and this is the other where it's a little bit open, but it's still a beautiful circle. So for today's tutorial, I'm using a standard medium worsted weight yarn and a hook size K, which is 6.5 millimeters. And I'm using standard US crochet terms. So grab your hook and your pretty yarn and let's get started. We're going to start with the tail facing you. Leave it long enough to have room for it not to pull out. Now we're going to wrap the working yarn around your hand and back to where your thumb is. Now while holding that intersection with your thumb and finger, release the circle of yarn from your hand. Now for left-handers, we're going to make sure that your working yarn is to your left of your circle and that your tail is to the right of your circle. Now I'm going to place my yarn in my hand for tension. Pull that tight and get my hook. Now I'm going to go into that circle and grab the hook, the yarn. This is going to make our first turning chain and it will secure our loop. So once we pull that through, let me show you that again. We got our loop. We're going in the circle, grab your yarn and pull it through. Now we're still holding these two together with our thumb and forefinger. Now this is where I kind of drop the circle and try and hold all three of those together. So I have some tension against my yarn loop right there. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through. Now that's our securing chain. Now this is where we're going to decide if this is going to be a single crochet, so we chain one, or if it's going to be a double crochet, we chain two. So that's our turning chain. Now this is where we're going to mark it, because we're going to have, as we go in our circle a couple times, it's going to be very difficult to find the beginning and the end. So this is where I mark it. Now that magic ring is secure, so I can let that go. Now it's important to stitch over both strands to make sure that you're crocheting over both of these strands. That is why I say for the left-handers, we put the working yarn on the left and your tail on the right. So you're going to crocheting this way, you're going to go over both of those strands. Because if you don't do that, then your hole won't, when you pull on your string, your hole won't pull tight. So make sure that you're crocheting over both of those. Okay, so now you have your turning chain, and we marked it. Now we know where our circle's gonna end and begin for our next round. So this is where we're gonna do our single crochets, however many your pattern calls for, or however many you're gonna do for this particular project. I just kind of hold it, or we can kind of close it up a little bit easier now. And you go in the hole, yarn over, pull up, and yarn over and pull through both. That's for your single crochet. Now I'm going to do 10 single crochets for this demonstration. When you have the number of stitches you want, this is where we're going to close up our hole. So we're going to grab the tail firmly. We're going to hold your stitches and we're going to pull. Sometimes I like wrap it around my finger to get a grip. Now once we have it closed, I like to give it an extra little tug at the end, so that everything, you feel it kind of give right there. That just pulled it completely tight. Now this tail here is something that we're going to weave in later, so I just leave it hanging there in the back. That keeps it. I might even clip it, that's a little long, but in the back I'll weave it back and forth underneath those stitches there so it doesn't loosen up over time. Okay, so that's your finished round. Now to join to the first stitch, you find your marker and you're going to go into that hole there, yarn over, pull it through, and then pull it through the loop on your hook for a slip stitch. Now this is where we're going to do our turning chain for the next row. So just chain 1 to start our next row, because I'm doing single crochets. I'm going to move my marker to the new spot so I know where my round begins, and it's just pattern preference at this time, whether we churn our work and work back the other way or whether we work in a spiral. We just keep going the same way. That's all there is to it. Simple, right? I know it's a struggle for some. Don't fret, I'm going to show you another way to achieve a similar result. Most patterns don't ask you to do this magic circle. I just like it because, as you can see, it makes a tight little hole. This one, so it kind of seals it up. What they ask you to do is chain 3 and then join circle of chains to work into, and that's perfectly fine to do for your projects. For this, you would start with your slip knot and you're going to chain 3. Oops, my slip knot's a little large right there. There we go. Chain 2 and 3. Now you're going to look for your first chain right here, and you're going to go into that chain to connect it, to connect your circle, and you're just going to yarn over and pull it through, and then pull through that chain that's on your hook. Now you're going to do your turning chain. So you're going to chain 1. This is where we're going to mark it, so we know where we're starting. Now you're going to open up those 3 chains and find the hole in there. There we go. Now we're going to go right into that hole to make our stitches. So we're going to go in that hole, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through. That's our first single crochet. So back into that same hole, yarn over, pull through. Now this is a little trick that I do when I'm crocheting, is I crochet right over that yarn tail. Now some people like to weave in the ends I like to at least get it started in one direction. So I go over that yarn tail a couple times as I'm crocheting, and then when I go to weave in, I just weave it in a different direction to get it more secure. So that's 3, 4, keep going in that hole there. And this is usually what patterns say to do, which is perfectly fine. Now, as you can see, we're kind of running out of space, but those stitches are just sitting on top of those chains, so we can slide them. Easier said than done, right? Slide them down to fit the last 4. Nine and 10. All right, so now we're going to join at the beginning. So we have our stitch marker there, so we can see where our beginning is. Now you know why we mark it, because it gets confusing. Move that yarn tail out of the way. We're going to go under that stitch marker, pull our yarn through, grab it, pull it through, and then slip knot right in there. So there's our round, and then this is where we're going to do our chains for our turning chain. We're going to move our marker to our new beginning. There, now you see the hole is a little bit bigger than the magic circle, but it's still a nice, perfect, round stitches, and it works just fine for many projects. So practice both ways a few times until your hands kind of get the muscle memory. I know it feels clunky at first, and I feel clunky because I've slowed down trying to show an example of it. It feels awkward. And then you'll decide which one you like better. I like the magic circle just because the way it looks, but I do this more open one for like granny squares, something that has a little more openings. It looks cute that way. I want to show you real quick how to go into the second round of the circle if you've never worked with a circle before. So once we've joined, we've gone around our circle and we've joined it here, and we've chained I've done 2 chains because I'm going to do a double crochet in the second row, and I marked it so I know where I'm starting and stopping. Now we're going to yarn over, if you remember, double crochet, and if you see, let me get a little closer, your V right here, as you go around, you can see each stitch. So we're going to go in right under that V, and there's the hole right there. And then this is our first double crochet. So our second one, you can kind of see the hole go in there. And our third, see the V, you're going to go under those 2, unless specified by your pattern, back loop only, front loop only. When it says single crochet, double crochet, it's assumed that you're going to go through or go under both of those loops. Oops, I'm doing double crochet. Getting distracted. There we go. And then you just go all the way around till you get back to the beginning. And then, so when you get all the way around with your stitches, you're going to find your first stitch and go in there to join that round. Yarn over, pull through, and pull through. So that connects your next round. Now this is where you chain up your turning chain, however many you're going to do, mark it, and then you just keep going round and round and round. Same concept. And there you go. You're on your way to making some beautiful projects in the round. You've got this. Keep going. Practice makes progress. If you found this tutorial helpful, please hit that like button. Drop a comment below letting me know what project you're going to make with this beautiful stitch. Are you going to make a granny square, or are you going to make a beautiful amigurumi plushie? Don't forget to subscribe so you'll catch our next project. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and happy crocheting!